Former Florida Attorney General says there will be a sweeping investigation of the Biden family. Pretty interesting. Let's roll the clip.
Well, we invite in to answer that question Florida Attorney General, former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi, Wall Street Journal columnist Kim Strassel, and Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce. All right, Pam, let's look at this, and let's put your legal hat on, your AG hat on. Okay, so we have, on the issue of top secret classified information, we have one system of justice. Then we have this whole other problem that we were discussing earlier, and that has to do with the Biden family, the $1 billion withheld until the prosecutor's fired, and the son continues to get enriched for something he has no experience in. I do believe at some point this is now that story will make it into the political bloodstream, and it may be the dominoes that now begin to fall where Democrats push Joe Biden out. Your thoughts?
I wholeheartedly agree, Sean. And as you articulately laid out already, that this will be a sweeping investigation of the Biden family and perhaps RICO charges where they would be appropriately filed. Something else that's going to happen, Sean, is when Republicans take back the White House, and we will be back in there in 18 months or less, you know what's going to happen? The Department of Justice, the prosecutors will be prosecuted, the bad ones. The investigators will be investigated because the deep state, last term for President Trump, they were hiding in the shadows. But now they have a spotlight on them, and they can all be investigated, and the House needs to be cleaned out because now we know who most of them are. There's a record of it, and we can clean house next term, and that's what has to happen.
She kind of makes a good point. The deep state really trying to get Trump this second time around. A lot of them really have exposed themselves. Who would have known, like Fannie Willis and Bragg and stuff? I mean, you probably would, though, right? Because they're George Soros funded. But that might not be enough for a lot of people. They may be, oh, that's a conspiracy, George Soros, whatever, you know. But now it's just like, they're right on out in the open now.
Tammy, let's get your take.
Well, you know, I appreciate Marco Rubio's attitude about worrying about this is going to be, in a way, a tit for tat. But let's look at how this started. You know, this particular environment and the attacks on Donald Trump did not suddenly just arise.
It will be a tit for tat, but the left started it, and the left are the ones doing all this weird stuff that's like just going after people for no reason. I don't. The right is going to do something similar, though. They're going to go after election interference, but that's something they're actually doing. These RICO charges and stuff, because you went and wanted to go look into something. No, you can't even investigate stuff anymore. Like that's what that's the crimes these guys in Georgia have supposedly committed. And like the case in New York, oh, you did the bookkeeping wrong. It's like that's what you're going after people for. Like such a waste of time.
You know, out of a unicorn and rainbow world where everything was just fine. We've seen this kind of behavior for generations coming out of Washington. So, you know, think about the IRS, the Tea Party, Lois Lerner, the fact that nothing happened effectively to people like Comey and others who did the Russia dossier hoax. You know, they go on, they make millions of dollars, they write books.
She's making a really good point.
And they tiptoe through the freaking tulips here. So, of course, it ends up with weaponizing justice in the open, going after a political opponent because nothing will happen to them. This kind of behavior is learned behavior. It is rewarded behavior, and it has been going on for decades. Marco Rubio knows this, so the worry is not what's going to happen after this, and isn't that going to be awful? In fact, as Pam has noted, this is our opportunity to actually make a difference, to change what it is that's gone on in Washington, and not just anybody is going to do it. It's going to take a Donald Trump for another term because this idea of, you know, holding Washington accountable is anathema to anyone who wants to go to the parties and, you know, be invited to the White House and not have the media, the drive-by media hate them. So this is key. And I think Senator Rubio needs to look in the larger context of how did this happen and what are we going to do to fix it, which is going to take, you know, repercussions for the people who put this on us.
You know, and she makes a lot of really good points there. Yeah, they have been doing this for a really long time. The left has. So it's like, what are you going to do? Yeah, come push back, show that there's consequences. And then if you want to do it to us, we'll do it back. He's like, well, Rubio, I guess, is saying, well, where does it end? I don't know. But what are you just going to, just because you don't know where it's going to end, you're never going to stand up for yourself? Right? It's like the story I just did. Like, oh, okay, but if the criminals, if we go and put them in jail or something, right? It's gonna be crazy, and yeah, they might get mad. But what are you just gonna do? Nothing? Then they just shoplift forever, and nothing happens to them. You know, you got to push back. Otherwise, it's just gonna keep. Where does that end? Where does it end on the other side of the spectrum, right? He's like, okay, well, it could get really bad, yeah, but if you just don't do anything, how bad is it going to get in the other direction, right?
And Kimberly, let me get to you on this, because I'll use Tammy's phrase, tiptoe through the tulips. Yeah, they seem, totally, completely carefree. I mean, the people involved in implementing this two-tier system of justice, they have this fearless arrogance about them that this is
That's
just,
why.
The way things are going to be, whether the American people like it or not. They've got to know in the back of their mind somewhere, if they have a conscience or a soul, what they're doing is wrong, that they're treating one group of people one way and another group of people the other way.
They don't care.
Right, and they also have to worry, they have to understand what they are unleashing here, too. I mean, look, I don't think it's any coincidence that one of the reasons that Hunter Biden's entire plea deal fell apart is because they tried to stick an immunity clause in there.
Is it just me, or does this woman sound a lot like Roseanne Barr? It's kind of funny.
To make sure that nobody could go after him over all the shenanigans that went into the first deal if the Department of Justice changed. Look, we do want to have an honest standard of justice, one standard of justice for all. But I do understand Marco Rubio's fear here, too, that we are crossing some sort of line, okay? I mean, it's one thing, the Department of Justice and its politicization. But what happened in Georgia, this really is a new ballgame. We've long had a standard that, if you were a federal politician accused of some sort of serious crime, well, maybe the Department of Justice would get involved. There are thousands of prosecutors, Sean, across this country at the state and local level, that if the new standard is anyone can go after a federal official on the most stretched of racketeering charges, I mean, this is a very scary new place.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, you got to push back. Like I was
Question,
just saying.
I'll ask all of you the same one. Pam, I'll start with you. And it's very simple. Is with all that we know about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and, the money they're making from countries like China and Russia and Romania and Kazakhstan and Ukraine, and Joe leveraging the $1 billion and Hunter getting paid and no experience and he's addicted to drugs. Will anything ultimately happen to Joe and Hunter Biden regarding these issues? What is your prediction, Pam?
When we have a new administration, absolutely, Sean, it has to. Joe Biden, we now know, had 3 aliases. They had 19 shell corporations set up. That is a criminal investigation that must be open.
But Alan
and I think
Dershowitz
Congress is going to do a good job.
Alan Dershowitz said Congress can appoint a special counsel, can they?
They can. Congress absolutely can. They have subpoena power, but nothing is going to be done to be prosecuted. They do not have prosecutorial power, investigative power, until 18 months when Donald Trump is back in office. And I think that's what Marco was referring to, frankly.
Tammy, same question.
Well, I believe that only if Donald Trump is elected, there will be justice and there will be genuine investigations, as we've seen, as I've mentioned. It's been a long time that Republicans have had power. It's gone back and forth, and we haven't seen anything significant happen to the level of corruption that's in Washington, D.C. So I don't think it's going to be just any GOP president. I think we're going to have to be looking at least to get the ball rolling 4 more years of Donald Trump.
Kimberly, same exit question.
We're talking a lot about legal issues, which are important. I want to look at this in a slightly different way, which is that there's another power, the power of the people, to punish politicians via elections. Why did Joe Biden work so hard and his team to make sure we couldn't find out what was going on in Hunter Biden's laptop, et cetera, prior to the last presidential election? Because he feared that it would be enough to make sure that he was not elected. We're going to have these House investigations. And aside from the Department of Justice and what comes down the road, the American people are going to have the ability to render their own punishment on Joe Biden if it turns out he's been untruthful about what went on with his son.
All right, Pam, Tammy, Kimberly.
Yeah, that's really interesting. But like I've been saying with the Trump thing, though, can they put a president in jail? I mean, they could get justice, so to speak. Just get him out of power, really. He's so old, I don't even care. Hunter Biden, though, he doesn't get Secret Service detail for life, does he? I don't think so as a family member. I could be wrong about that. But, yeah, like, you get Hunter, but Joe, he's old and everything, and should he go to jail? Yeah, but Secret Service in there. They'll have to build him a whole new jail, put him in a house arrest or whatever, like we were talking about in the story earlier. How do you actually put a former president in jail and they have Secret Service for life? It's a logistical nightmare. How could you do it? I don't think it's realistic. You know what I mean? But get him out of power. Definitely do that. Investigate. Show people what they did, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Just ruin that family name, the Biden family name. I mean, that's as much as we can do. It's like, never trust a Biden again. Look at all the corruption they got. Look at you can maybe try to get that $1 billion and seize their bank accounts, though. That might be something they actually end up doing. So, yeah, if they did that. But yeah, I love the investigations. I love what these women were saying. I think they made a lot of good points. Yeah, that's what we got to do. We got to go get back in, get Trump back in there, investigate him, get him out of power. You know, at least, like I was just saying, like, let people know what they've been doing all this time, like without a shadow of a doubt, no conjecture at all. Here's investigations. Here's all the proof. All the evidence is laid out, and yeah, that would be great. But then all these people surrounding the whole situation, like Fannie Willis and stuff, yeah, go after all those people, all these corrupt people. In the deep state that are showing their true colors and are breaking the law, go after all those people. Why not? They don't have Secret Service for life. It's not going to be a logistical nightmare or anything for them to go to prison. And they definitely deserve it. They're doing all this stuff like this racketeering. This is blatant election interference. They're going after, like, at least wait until after the election, right? No, right there. And they waited 2 years to do any of this. They waited right before the election. They did all this stuff on purpose, hoping that it would be fresh in people's minds. But it's just backfiring. It is in people's minds, but they love it. Look at the mugshot. Everyone's doing merch and everything. Nobody's like worried about Trump like going to jail, really. I mean, the left is just like, yeah, he's going to jail. And then I've seen like people on Twitter like, the right's freaking out. What idiots. They're so scared right now. It's like, no. Nobody cares, dude. It's like, how are you even thinking that? They just trick themselves into believing things that clearly aren't true. The right just loves it. Everyone's building merch and everything. Yeah, it's just, we're all having a good time. Like they were saying in this story earlier, this is like the first time the left and the right have agreed on anything in a long time, because we love him, other people hate him, and even if you're in the middle, like Joe Rogan, I bet you he loves this mugshot thing. It's entertaining, you know? So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, if Trump gets reelected, I think there's going to be heads will roll. He's going to want revenge. He hates that this is happening. More importantly, I think he does definitely take this type of stuff personally. But I think even more in his mind, this is just ruining America. And this is why he ran for president. A big part of it is because he wanted to save the country. And now it's just gotten worse since when he got elected in 2016. He's probably realizing that. He probably thinks he messed up really bad in his last term at this point. He's like, man, I tried to get these people around me, to do a good job, but then it just ruined everything. Now they're prosecuting a former president for no reason. I bet he's like, if I just would have went harder, if I would have made this decision. And 2 years is a long time before he becomes president again. I know he has to campaign, but he's probably just planning and mapping all this out. Like, I'm gonna use every second next time. When I think Congress, if there's a Republican Congress, there's just way more American first people in there now than there used to be. You go and run on Trump policies, you're going to win. Back when Trump first got elected, there was an R by their name. I'm sick of the Democrats. I'm just going to vote for Republican. Trump's awesome. I'm going to help him out. But then half of the people that were Republicans that got reelected in 2016, they weren't even Trump Republicans. So they just worked against him that entire time. But yeah, I think the next time will be different. There will be way more American first people, and Trump's just going to probably get way more outside people and do it a whole different way. But yeah, this should be really interesting. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe for daily news updates, smash that like button, share this video with your friends, and share your thoughts on the story in the comments below. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.